Hi Oakville, I'm Olivia Lutker.
And I'm Sawyer Bess. Let's see what's going on around OHS.
Congratulations to Ethan Venable on having an undefeated record in wrestling. He is 34-0. Keep it up, Ethan.
Attention juniors, a Mizzou admissions counselor will be at OHS on Tuesday, February 22nd at 6 p.m. in the library to present their College Planning 101 program. Topics will include the college search, applications, scholarships, financial aid, and more. Due to space limitations, this program is only open to current juniors. Please bring a parent.
The boys golf team will hold an informational meeting during A&P Cat Time at 9:10 on February 15th. The boys golf season begins February 28th. See Coach Gertis in room 300 with any questions.
Boys volleyball tryouts are February 28th, March 4th from 4 to 6 p.m. in Gym B. All are welcome. Please make sure you are registered on registermyathlete.com. See Coach Betts with any questions.
FCCLA will be hosting Send Your Crush or Crush again this year. This is a fun way to tell your friends Happy Valentine's Day. Purchase the package of your choice at lunch February 7th, 8th, and 9th, and the Valagram will be delivered Friday, February 11th to A&Ps. You need to know the recipient's first and last name, and knowing their A&P teacher is helpful too.
On February 10th and 11th, during all class periods, you can donate $1 to delay class by 1 minute for up to 25 minutes per class. NHS will donate all money collected to the International Institute in St. Louis.
Come and stop by the library to check out the art show hosted by the art department through the month of February.
Registration for classes is due February 15th. Make sure you sign up for all your classes and get your course requests signed.
OHS students have many different passions. This student has a passion for walking the runway.
Anthony, Aaron, and Lily show us more.
Meet sophomore Hannah Johansdotter, an Oakville student whose passion in modeling is on the rise.
So I started when I was, about 8, and I went to this agency in St. Louis called West. After a couple years with West, I went to some other agency, which basically develops you so that you can get put with a real agency, and then they can hire you and book you for gigs. Right now, especially with COVID, I'm not doing a bunch of stuff. It's usually once a month, once every 2 months. It's a lot of just sitting around and waiting because there are a bunch of models usually, and then they have to get fitted and you have to get your hair and makeup done, and there's only so many. So they talk and you make a lot of cool friends, and there's a lot of cool people that I've met. I met this one girl who's in my agency, Alana Arrington. She's walked for Victoria's Secret 3 times, I think. It's one of them was on the cover of Vogue. A lot of the models have walked for Gucci and all the high-end kind of designers.
Modeling isn't as easy as it looks. It comes with a lot of patience and determination. When asked,
do you plan on having a career in this?
I hope so. A lot of people that I was friends with in the agency, they've gone on to do really cool things, and they've been being able to make a living out of it, and I'm really hoping I can do that and travel and see all the cool places, and that's just my dream.
With Aaron Herberhol and Anthony Simakaitis behind the camera, I'm Lily Jackson for Around OHS.
Not everyone is able to model,
And not everyone's able to have their own podcast.
but OHS librarian Dan Wright does.
Natalie and Gracie, tell us more.
If you've been to the library before, you've probably seen Mr. Wright. But did you know he has his own podcast?
It's called Library Media Chatter. It is a podcast for librarians about librarians. Outside of Ms. Hayes, and at Melville I work with Ms. Henthorne, and she claims that on days if I'm gone for too long, she's like, it's too quiet, so I'll just put on one of your things, and that way it feels like you're still sitting next to me bugging me.
Speaking of Melville's library, here's how social media has helped overall.
Which is to say Melville Library's Twitter page that then Oakville Library likes everything. It's incredible how many likes you can get from one place when you're doing both of them.
We talked to Miss Crane about how Mr. Wright's podcast skills have helped her class.
Yeah, Mr. Wright showed us mostly how to use the technology, so he instructed us through the use of WeVideo for podcasting. Mr. Wright actually introduced his podcast through my English 1 classes, who did this project first, and it was so successful that I decided to scale it up for AP Lang. I thought it was an authentic representation of a neat skill that maybe we don't always get in schools.
Here are some ways you can listen.
You can get it on iTunes, on Spotify, anywhere. We have it on, I host it on podcasts.com, I think is actually the name of the hosting site.
With Natalie Baker behind the camera, I'm Gracie Lectie for Channel 97 News.
Mr. Wright has a lot of fun with his podcast.
And Mr. Tice also has a lot of fun kayaking.
Eva and Sierra tell us more.
OHS English teacher Mr. Tice has a passion that takes him out of the classroom.
My cousin took me on my first float trip on one of the many rivers in St. Louis, around St. Louis, when I was about 11 years old. And so I've canoed all my life. I got sick about 3 years ago and I was in the hospital for a little bit. And that's when I decided, I wanted to kayak because they just looked like they were having more fun.
Aside from English, Mr. Tice helps people at the Melville Pool learn how to kayak.
I just love the sport so much. I wanted to pass on that knowledge, so I go there on Wednesdays and assist, and I think as a society we've kind of gotten away from nature, and if I can get someone into a sport that's exciting, that's going to keep them healthy, connect them a little bit more to nature, then I think I've passed on something good and hopefully will help everybody.
Kayaking is more than just a sport for Mr. Tice.
It makes me feel like nothing else. There's something just so awe-inspiring about the power of water and nature and being out there. And when you're that close to just this awesome power, and the adrenaline gets going, and you're just doing something that doesn't compare to anything else. There's almost nothing that gets my adrenaline and endorphins going like that.
With Eva Beidel, I'm Sierra Bradley for Around OHS.
I wonder if Mr. Tice could teach me how to dive.
Actually, that's the wrong water sport, Olivia. But I know someone who can.
Ian and Ava take us on a deep dive into Alexa's sport.
There's one other girl at Melville that dives with us, but just me for OHS. Diving goes back a while. I started doing swim and it just wasn't possible. And then once COVID hit, I kind of stepped back and I was like, do I really want to swim or do I want to start diving? And that's kind of when my friend told me, she's like, oh, I'll try it with you. And so that's kind of how I got into it, and we started at Clayton in the summer, and here I am.
We then asked Alexa, what's it like being the only diver at Oakville?
So typically our meets are at Melville, so I get up there around 3:30ish after school. Not having anybody else there, like the coach kind of remembers what you're working on. But it's tiring. Being the only one is just exhausting because you're constantly on the board. Depending how many divers there are, diving could be anywhere from like 15 minutes to 45 minutes. I've told a lot of people on the swim team, and I've told a lot of people kind of jokingly about it, and a lot of people are like scared of it. They're like, I could never jump off those big high dives. I'm like, you don't have to. Like, there's like, you have so many options with it, and you have so much freedom. If the word gets out, we seriously need more divers. It's so easy to get scholarships for and make a lot of stuff.
We wish Alexa luck on the remainder of her season. With Ava Singer behind the camera, I'm Ian Meyer for Around OHS.
Hopefully next year there will be a larger diving team.
But this year, girls wrestling had enough members to form their own team.
Here's a story.
Although there have been girls on the wrestling team in years past, this year they have their very own team.
I was really scared with like being girls and guys, because that's obviously nerve-wracking, but it's actually pretty fun. They're really supportive. Since we're all pretty new at it, it's like we're all in this together type of thing. We all have each other up.
I heard about it from all the other girls and I wanted to try it out. I liked it the first day, so I just came back. It's a good way to kind of honestly get some stuff out.
Coach Shivers talks about how he has taken a different approach in coaching the girls.
The intensity level is a little bit different, and it could also be the fact that these are all brand new wrestlers that have never seen the wrestling mat before this year.
He helps a lot when it comes to making sure we got our moves down and making sure what we're doing, we're staying focused, and not only at a match but definitely in the wrestling room as well.
They have been some very hard-working wrestlers. They definitely need a little bit more experience, but really it's more of their confidence level, and that's what I kind of want to instill with them, but continue to build up on it, have it so that they want to continue on with the sport, as well as bring their friends out to wrestle, and now start building a big program with the girls program as well.
With Caleb Broman behind the camera, I'm Chase Skaggs with Around
The
OHS.
girls wrestling team has a really positive outlook on their season.
OHS teachers are also spreading some positivity.
Drew, Matt, and Riley share their stories.
During this long winter season, in the face of the pandemic, and all this negativity in the world, it can be hard to stay positive and remain motivated to get out of bed each morning. However, some faces in our building have managed to act as a bright light to those around them.
Positivity means being open to each day and accepting what it kind of gives you and what it brings to you, and just kind of rolling with it. I think back to a young lady who told me, in our times together, I was the only person who smiled at her all day. The only person who was nice to her, the only person who smiled to her at home and at school. And I think about that one student and the impact of me just smiling and saying hello to her, what that did for her. Can you imagine what would happen if everybody did that in our building?
I view it as like a drop of food coloring in water. And then if you put that food coloring in water, eventually it'll permeate to the whole, cup of water, and it'll all turn blue, it'll all turn red, whatever it ends up being. So that one little bit of positivity could end up permeating to the whole glass or other people. I always ask myself the question of what's the one thing that I can do to make myself better in this moment? If I started feeling frustrated, if there was a hardship, if there was something that was going on during that was bad that I could do, and then hopefully that permeated to other people as well.
If somebody is toxic, you don't need that toxicity in your life. Get rid of toxic people, get rid of toxic influences, whether that be social media or a real influence like a person. Only you are in charge of your attitude and your actions. So changing the way you think about things, changing how you see different situations that come into your life, coming at it with an open attitude and open arms versus having lots of negativity will revolutionize your life. Make space for positivity, make space for happiness.
With Riley Heather and Matthew Churko behind the camera, I'm Drew Lieberoff for Around OHS.
Mr. Abusi and Mrs. Ward are really making a difference.
Being a safe driver can also help make a difference in winter weather.
Michael and Michaela give us some winter driving tips.
Along with the fun in the snow that winter can bring, it presents danger on the roads, especially if you don't know how to drive safely in it. Some tips for navigating the roads during inclement weather include:
drive slowly and avoid coming to a full stop if possible. If you end up hitting a patch of ice, turn your wheel in the direction you are sliding. This will help keep you from spinning and will direct you back on the road.
In addition to driving safely, make sure your car is in good condition. Make sure your tire's PSI is up to standards. Check it often and adjust as needed. Always have at least a half a tank of gas. Ensure that your windshields and windows are scraped with any ice and that there is no snow piled up on the top of your car that could come loose when you were driving that could block your view or the view of others around you.
Lastly, put your phone down. Disconnect your phone and keep your eyes on the road.
Safety doesn't only include how you use your car, it also extends to what is inside of it.
We recommend keeping the following items in your car at all times: a set of winter gear, a blanket, an ice scraper, hot hands, portable phone charger, tire pressure gauge, and water.
This is Michaela Gendler and Michael Agnew for Around OHS.
Drive safe, Oakville.
And that wraps up today's show. Make sure you stick around to see our journalism promo.
Thanks for watching, and have a great day, Oakville.